You know, some of the animals I love the most are in my own backyard. So it broke our hearts when our dog Tasha had trouble getting around.
You're supposed to jump in with me.
But now, thanks to Cosequin, she's back to her old self.
For dogs, cats, and horses, trust Cosequin, the #1 vet-recommended brand of joint health supplements the Hannahs rely on.
Tasha may not run like a cheetah, but with Cosequin, she's a heck of a lot faster than me.
Available from your veterinarian and fine retailers.
Horses stole my heart when I was a little girl. Matter of fact, check out this picture, my first pony ride when I was 5 years old. As I've matured, I found my passion for horses turned out to be a great release and a great way to bring balance into my life. As you'll see on this week's Tail End feature, how horses carved out a new career for a former chemist. For most people, a career choice is permanent and defining. But for Jan Huffman, his former job as a scientist was just a prelude to his lifelong dream of becoming a horse trainer.
An active rider keeps the horse from the moment of the get-go saying, I am in control with you.
Jan worked most of his life in the lab with renowned pharmaceutical companies and corporations.
Well, my other life, my college work with my BS degree, and my graduate work was in chemistry, and I went to work for Baxter Intravenous as a chief chemist, and I was with him for 2 years. After 2 years, I moved on to Wyeth Pharmaceutical in sales.
Always interested and fascinated by these beautiful creatures, Jan decided to take the option of early retirement and set his sights on a new passion in life.
The part of my retirement package was one of the packages was they paid me literally to learn a new occupation. So I took that money and went into horse training.
Jan traveled to Colorado to learn from natural horseman John Lyons. There he was first taught the basics of dealing with horses and later the subtle details that give one the power to control and connect with such a spirited animal.
We as humans, we think that horses should do what we want them to do without telling them what to do or coaching them what to do. So when I first began training with John Lyons, he would give us an exercise to do. I would say, oh, I can do that. Well, I would get on my horse, and guess what? He didn't do it. He didn't do it. And I kept trying harder and harder, and he wouldn't do it. It's because I didn't, number one, understand the lesson. And number two, he wasn't trusting me. I didn't have patience with the horse. I didn't have respect for the horse. And once after a few weeks out there, I began realizing that I've got to understand the lesson, teach the horse how to do it, then they will do it. In my opinion, the eyes of a horse are the windows to their brain. You can tell in a horse's eyes a lot about how they feel, how they're reacting to something.
After hearing of Jan's success in training horses and his remarkable story, I decided to bring my quarter horse, Rain, a Premarin foal I recently rescued from slaughter at a horse auction. I wanted to know if she was trainable after all the trauma she had endured. Jan's passion for training horses is reflected in the progress of Rain and all the other horses that he takes in.
I like to see the progress a horse is making. That to me is the bottom line. When I was at John Lyons training, I had two objectives every day. And the objectives were, number one, to make progress over the previous day. And number two, to have fun. When I'm on a horse and I'm working a horse, my objective is the same, to have fun with somebody else's horse and to make sure the horse is making progress.
And once a scientist, always a scientist. Jan is meticulous in his methods and detailed in his record-keeping skills.
He's giving to the bit a little. So that's fair now.
Jan's work with horses has opened a new window in his life and is an example for all of us of how we can follow a dream, no matter how different or improbable it seems from our current life.
There's nothing like in the evening, like when I'm at home, I have a round pen out behind my barn, is I go out and put a bridle on a horse, put a saddle on a horse, and just ride the horse around. It's very relaxing. You come in the house, it completely just erases everything in your mind. It's just a soothing effect.
Being on the back of a horse is soothing and clears your mind because you cannot think about anything else. You know, whether it's horses, gardening, boating, find a passion and make time for it. It's one of the best balancing tools. Well, that's all the time we have left this week. Remember, it's your life. Live it and live it well. We'll see you next week.